Hello and welcome, I'm your host KB and you're watching the Retrospective. The Street Sharks was an animated TV series produced by Deke Entertainment and released in 1994. The Street Sharks is a classic example of what was so awesome about the 90s. I've made various mentions to other shows which have tried to follow the format of the Ninja Turtles, a show where four brothers are mutated and become anthropomorphic teen turtles who fight crime. So what could be cooler than mutant turtles? Well, obviously mutant sharks. So here we have four teenage brothers from the fictional town of Fission City who are mutated by a gene slammer which combines their DNA with that of four various shark types to create the superpowered team known as the Street Sharks. A show about badass mutated sharks is obviously going to appeal to any kid. And in the mid-90s, I was all in on the property. I loved everything about the show, and especially the awesome toy line by Mattel, which was one of the best of the decade.
Dr. Piranoid's attacking the city! Time to fly! Shark attack! Shark attack! Street Sharks! Jetpack Jam fires up his new jetpack to battle Piranoid with his liquid laser gun!
They all have their own distinct looks and character traits, even if their personalities are somewhat generic. Ripster is the older, wiser brother and the leader of the group. Slamu's the big, strong jock stereotype. Streaks is the cool, rollerblading ladies man. And Jab is the aggressive hothead of the group. There isn't a lot of character development for them throughout the series, and I feel this is due to most of the episodes focusing on them as a group rather than having their own independent storylines. The Sharks also had some unique abilities, such as Streak's sharp claws, Ripster's spider sense-like sonar ability, and Slamu's big seismic slam.
Fins and heads up!
Seismic Slam!
Like any other kids show of the decade, they have a slew of shark-themed catchphrases, which is enough to make the turtles jealous. These include such gems as Jawsome, Feeding Frenzy, and their favourite, Shark Attack.
Shark attack! Shark attack! Shark attack!
There are some human characters along for the ride, such as the most notable character Benz, a genius who acts as the comic relief for the show, as well as setting up the Sharks in their new base of operation, Shark HQ. He also provides them with all their vehicles. There's also some other aquatic-themed mutants who pop up, such as my favourite, Moby Lick, who is a giant killer whale. The main antagonist for the show is Dr. Paradigm, who the Sharks also call Dr. Piranoid. He's an evil professor which is responsible for the Gene Slammer and thus all the mutants in the show. He is obsessed with creating the perfect gene sequence in which to control the Sharks to do his bidding, as well as trying to mutate all the citizens of Fission City. He wears an epic exosuit, which he calls his power suit, and also has a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of thing going on due to being accidentally injected by his own serum. The serum causes him to mutate when angered, and his face takes on the form of a piranha, which is how he earned the name Dr. Piranoid. He is joined by his own group of mutants, which they refer to as the Seviants, with his first creations being Slash and Slobster, and later on they're joined by Killamari and Reptile. The show has some great visuals, as it's filled with constant action and mindless destruction, with the sharks smashing and biting their way out of danger. One of the coolest ideas in the show was the shark dive, in which the sharks would swim through concrete and buildings like it was water. The idea is ridiculous, but it's the embodiment of awesome, and it makes them the very definition of street sharks. As a grown adult, I can still appreciate just how badass this is.
Should we go ring the bell, or should we,
Shark dive!
I had a feeling that's what you'd say.
The show did have 2 different theme songs, the first of which only aired during the show's first season, which was unusually short, being it was only 3 episodes.
Street Sharks! They fight the Street Sharks! Street Sharks!
The second theme song I feel was far superior and aired for the remainder of the show's run.
There's a new breed in the neighborhood. Some say they're just no good. Half shark, half man, fighting evil, that's the plan. Street sharks. Street sharks. Street sharks.
While the writing for the show wasn't strong by any means, the strength of the show lays within the premise and the great design work. While the designs are amazing, the animation can seem clunky and cheap in parts. The characters are all larger than life, with absurdly awesome character designs and vehicles. The production by Deke is handled well, but I wouldn't put it up there as some of their best work, with shows like Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego and Mummies Alive feeling much more polished. The voice actors here do a decent job, and while not an all-star cast, it does feature some actors who went on to have good careers, such as Lee Tokar and Matt Hill.
Oh, awesome!
The property was very popular in the mid-90s, and it's largely remembered with fondness today. Surprisingly enough, considering its popularity, the show only lasted for 3 seasons, with 40 episodes being made. This could be due to the fact that the show just wasn't as good as some other shows at the time, such as Disney's Gargoyles, which was amazing. So after the wow factor of the Street Sharks had passed, it was easy for kids to move on to something else. The Street Sharks also has the unusual distinction of being one of the only animated TV series from the 90s that I can think of that has its own spin-off show, the Extreme Dinosaurs, which is a show I hope to cover in a future episode.
I guess we don't make such a bad team.
Not as bad as would be expected.
All 40 episodes of the show have been released on DVD, which you can pick up for a really reasonable price. So go and grab yourself a copy if you really want some jawsome action.
Yo, bro!
It slices, it dices, it'll hook 'em, cook 'em, and book 'em.
Awesome! All right!
Fantastic!
Awesome!
Thanks for everything, compadres, but it's time for me to stop blowing bubbles and rip the road. Goodbye!
See you later! Come back soon!
There goes one whale of a guy. Awesome!
As always, thanks very much for watching and supporting this show, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of The Retrospective.